Okay.
I'll mute myself.
And then I'm going to go ahead and move back here and make sure you can still hear me okay? Okay. So then just close your eyes and breathe. And just take a couple of nice deep breaths to start off with. Definitely make your back feel however it needs to feel. If you want to bend your knees and let your knees knock together, that might be a good option for you. It might not be with the thing. Okay. So then breathe, come back to your breath. And follow the breath in like you always do. And follow the breath back out of your body. Inhaling, it comes in. Exhaling, it comes out. Now see if you can imagine, as you inhale, this breath moving in and down your spine. And then as you exhale, there's a gentle pelvic tilt and the breath moves up your belly and back out your face. So see if you can just kind of foster this movement. Inhaling, it comes up and in the back body. There's a lengthening to your spine, and then exhaling, the breath moves back up the belly, up the chest, back out the face. And just taking a few more of these breaths and now seeing if this circular motion, this sort of wave of breath that comes through your body, you can actually engage those abdominal muscles as you tilt your pelvis and move with your breath. And just take several breaths like this and see if you can just really get into this motion of the breath. And then once you've got the motion kind of cemented in there, see if you can just imagine yourself in these different planes. So you're lying down right now, you're on your back. Can you imagine yourself just standing and doing this same kind of breath exercise? The breath moves in and down the back body. There's a tilt to that tailbone and the breath moves back up and out. Maybe even you can feel a lift to your chest as the breath comes back up and out. So this breath pattern can be used while standing in Tadasana to help support your back and engage your core. Now imagine yourself in those plank poses that you've been practicing in your other classes. And as you inhale, I often cue you to find buoyancy in your back body, and you should inhale that breath that comes in through your back body. There's a tilt to the tailbone even in the plank pose. And again, there's that support from the belly as the breath moves back out. So just taking a few more of these, you can imagine yourself back in your lying down state and just picture your body in this plane here and just watch the breath energetically move through your body. So just taking a couple more breaths here. And then when you're ready to, go ahead and put a little bit of energy into your legs. Just leave them long like they are now and point the toes up toward the ceiling. So the legs are active, but not super duper. They're just parallel. Feel your heels in the ground. And then just see if you can start rocking on your heels, your arms, your body, nothing else does anything. You just kind of rock your body on the heels and on that tailbone, and even your head and chin kind of nod a little bit. Yeah, just let this rhythm go. You're starting to get it. Yep, just let everything kind of rock back and forth like this. And then if you can speed it up a little bit, go ahead and speed it up and make it go a little bit faster. And just keep going like this, allowing this energy in your body to just kind of rock, rock, rock. And keep doing this for maybe like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and stop. And just let everything go and see if you can feel just this kind of whooshing energy that happens in your body. And then go ahead and gather your knees in toward your chest and just tuck those in and bring your face in toward your knees. And give the hug as deeply as it makes sense to you as well. And then go ahead and take your hands, cup your knees with your hands, and just make some individual circles. Let these knees go wide and draw them together and send them away from you, and wide and together, and just make nice little circles. Individual circles are fine. Go whichever way. And I would love for you to just kind of stay mentally in your body for a moment. And as you feel these legs moving in your hip, girdle, just say hi to that muscle that's really hurting you, possibly herniated for sure. And just let your thighs just kind of massage it a bit. And then go ahead and keep your right leg. Hug that right knee in. And then just give yourself a twist here. Take this right knee over to the left and just find a nice easy twist. We'll revisit this later, so just let it be early morning twist. It doesn't have to be fancy or even really nice. Just waking up the spine a little bit. And then go ahead and come back onto your back and just tuck your left knee in and send your right leg long. And then again, taking the twist when it's appropriate for you, taking this left knee over to the right. And again, just taking a nice easy twist, early morning twist, just saying hello to your spine, allowing it to gently move. All right, and then from here, go back into that knee hug. Hug those knees in, and then send your feet down. Knees are pointed up toward the ceiling, and the feet are hips width. And let's just flow a couple of bridges. I just want to wake up this lower pelvic region and just kind of put as much elasticity into it as we can. So just leave your arms long alongside your body. And then go ahead and just take a whole inhale to peel everything up. And I've taught this to you in a few different ways, so if there's another pattern that you'd like more to the movement, then take that. It's totally no biggie. The point is to just lift your spine up and then lay your spine down piece by piece by piece. And kind of like how we were just doing with the twist, don't worry too much about it. Just pay attention to how your spine feels as you lift it up off the ground. Pay attention to how your hip flexors feel as you do that. Pay attention to that spot that you're trying to kind of be careful with. And then lay the spine back down and just let yourself flow with your own breath. So inhaling, you'll peel it up. And if you need a couple of breaths to get everything up, then fine, so be it. And as you exhale, go ahead and just let everything melt down. And again, if it's a couple of breaths that you need to get that done, do it. We're just looking for movement through the spine and just waking up that joint where the thigh bone plugs into the hip bone. Okay, go ahead and finish that off and then come back down. Let these feet go really wide. Now they're like hip width or so. And then go ahead and windshield wiper these. Send these all over one direction and then the other direction. And I'm hoping here too, this is a nice place to kind of massage that area and just get some movement into it. Say hello to it a little bit. Okay. So now from here, go ahead and send these legs straight up toward the ceiling. And so getting into that really, really deep core work. So from here, can you just take a couple of breaths and come back to that breathing exercise we were doing? So you're squeezing your legs together a little bit, and I'm not really pointing or flexing my toes, they're just kind of there. So inhale and send that breath down the back body and just really, really ground your back into the ground as you inhale. Notice the tailbone would love to lift up here and the belly button moves in towards the spine. And as you exhale, maybe you could even send the toes a little bit higher, belly button really moves in toward the spine, and you exhale and the breath just falls out of you. You inhale and the breath comes in through the back body. You press that back body down, lots of power there. Maybe even the toes come up toward the ceiling a little bit. And then as you exhale, really ground the belly button down in toward the spine. So there's not even really a lot of movement. I can't even really see it. It's mostly just what you're doing with your breath and how you're directing that breath through your really deep core muscles. So now adding on to this, and again, just honoring where you're at, and we're just doing really deep core work, so it doesn't necessarily matter how far down you take these legs, but can you inhale and exhale, then lower these legs, maybe like 20 or 30 degrees, not too far, because your lower back's gonna wanna pop off the mat, and what I would love for you to do is press it down and hold it there and engage this whole front body. So it just gets really long. You start to feel this length that comes through the front. And then go ahead and come this back up. Come this back up. And then take a couple of these, just doing how it feels good to you. So you inhale and breathe. And then as you exhale, squeeze these legs together, lower them down to some degree that makes sense for you. The place is still a nice place for you to ground that lower back down. And then go ahead and just lift it back up when it seems appropriate. And just a few more, just working at your own pace. Okay, go ahead and put these feet back on the mat. Let them be hips width apart. Come back to that breath exercise once again. You inhale, the breath comes in through the nose. It comes in through the whole back. The whole back is like flat and strong into the mat. And then as you exhale, maybe you can press your feet more into the mat. Tilt that tailbone, draw all of those core muscles down and in, and the breath just falls out of you. Inhale and let all that front engagement go, because the breath is coming in through the back body. Back body is very wide and flat and heavy on the inhale. Then as you exhale, ground the feet, tilt the pelvis, lots of power in your core. This looks great. Go ahead and interlace your fingers behind your head. And then, so go ahead and lay everything back down. And first of all, make sure that you can even get your shoulder blades to be flat on the ground as you do this. I tend to tense up in my left shoulder. So see if you can make everything nice and flat here. And then see if you can just lift a little bit, but keep everything nice and wide here. That's good enough, because what I would love for you to also feel here is the grounding down of the tailbone and how that will really put a lot more effort, but it moves everything up into the solar plexus kind of area. And just let it go. And just do a few of these, inhaling. The breath moves in through the back body. There's lots of wide shoulders here. And then as you exhale, the wide shoulders lift up just a little bit. Belly button moves in toward the spine, and the back, the low back moves in toward the ground too. And then lower back down. Let me get a look at you. Go ahead and do it. Good, this is great. All right, so from here, let's go ahead and just flip this over and come to your belly. I'm going to attempt to do something with my dog. Can you please, can you move? Can you go, like, on the bed? Yeah, that's not going to happen. All right, so pushing back into child's pose from here. Let your knees be really, really wide. And bring your hips back to your heels. So it's like a modified child's pose. And then let's go ahead and stretch your sides while we're here. So take everything over to the left and stack your right hand on top of the left, or don't, depending on if that's too much space on the thing. Take one more breath to open this right side of your body, and then go ahead and switch and bring everything over to the right so we can stretch the left side. Stacking left hand on top of the right hand, or just taking that out of the equation if it's too much. Take one more deep breath here and stretch into your left side. And then go ahead and come back. Bring yourself up to all fours. Yeah, let's go ahead and do this one. Tuck your toes behind you. I think some of this work will still be able to target the core, but without goosing your hip flexors so much. So from here, go ahead and do some cat-cow, but on the cat part, we're going to add some core. So on the cat part, with your toes tucked, you'll round and actually press everything down so much that your knees want to lift. And then the cow pose is just a traditional cow. Exhale and round and push, and notice that the push into the forearms, into the arms, can actually tap some of those shoulder muscles that you've been working on. And another thing that I was just thinking about when mentioning the shoulder muscles is your shoulders are part of your core as much as your six-pack is. Like, it's all important to develop. So that's another reason I like exercises like this and like plank, is because they kind of recruit everything. You have to do everything. No one gets a free ride. Huh, Ruby? Okay. So from here, why don't we add on? Yeah, I'm going to break this down for you. I think that's the best way to do it. So I'm going to put some extra padding under my knees. I usually practice downstairs with 2 mats, but I just have 1 here, and I'm feeling it. So what you'll do is, from all fours and toes tucked, send this right leg out back behind you. And then just exhale and draw this right knee in toward your face and your face toward your knee. Notice that there's a pressing down with your shoulders here too, and lots of power. And then just inhale and send this back out. Exhale and draw it in. Inhale and send it back out. So let's do that much on the other side, and we'll come back to this. So set this right foot down, right knee down. Tuck the right toes, and just send the left knee back. And then as you exhale, just draw it in, knee toward nose. Maybe it touches, maybe it doesn't. And then inhale and send it back out. And exhale and draw it in. And inhale it back out. Okay, so that's door number one. This is kind of yoga for your brain, and it's actually a surprising amount of core, but I love it. So yeah, let's see how it works. Send, toes are tucked. Send your right leg back behind you. And then this time, you can watch me do this once if you want. Instead of just drawing the knee in toward the face like this, you're actually going to exhale, straighten this left knee, come into a downward doggish thing, and bring the knee to the face. And inhale and send this back out. Yoga for your brain. All right. And then press with that left foot into the ground, straighten that left knee, draw the right knee in toward your face. And then take an inhale and come back to where you started. Set this left knee back down. Yes, yeah, there you go. Go ahead and give yourself a rest. Come back to child's pose if you need. And just take a couple of breaths. Come back to that inhale, moving in the back body. And the exhale, moving up the front body. Inhale, send that whole breath in through the back body. And exhaling, it makes a U-turn right about at your hips. And it comes back up through your belly. Belly button moves in toward the spine. And it falls right out of you. So this movement that we're working on now will actually mimic this breath pattern. So we can still focus on that and help to cement it in there. So let's try it on the other side. So go ahead and come back to all fours. Tuck your right toes under. Send your left leg out behind you. And then we'll just take one, draw the knee in toward the face so you can kind of get that back in there. Inhale and send that back out. And then this time, press that right foot into the mat, straighten the right knee, take the left knee toward the face, and then inhale and come back to the starting position. Exhale, draw it up and in. Inhale, send it back out. Exhale, up and in. Inhale, back out. All right, you want to try it on the other side one more time? Send the right leg back. Tuck left toes. And then when you're ready to, press that left foot into the ground, straighten the left knee, draw the right knee in toward the face. Is the hernia on the left side or the right side? Okay. Yes, perfect. And then inhale, come back out. Nice. So when you're ready to, just go ahead and take a break. Take another child's pose. Let that sink in. And then let's do plank. Let's play with plank. Since you've already been playing with plank, you can play with plank too. So when you're ready to, go ahead and slide out onto your belly. Have you been doing a lot of forearm plank, or is it like a high push-up? Like that?
I don't, yeah, I guess I kind of.
Oh, you've been doing that? Okay. Okay. Let's do forearms, because we've spent a lot of time on our wrists already. So go ahead and bring your forearms like railroad tracks out in front of you into a Sphinx pose, just as Ruby is doing here. Ruby is demonstrating. And then we're gonna set the elbows right beneath the shoulders and look at the wrinkles on your wrists and just make sure they're pretty square with the front of your mat. Are your wrinkles pretty square? Okay. So from here, talking about the core and the shoulders all being a part of things, and movement in the upper spine being difficult. So I've been doing this one a lot lately in the Pilates sequence that I've been doing, and I hate it, but it's really important and I can see how important. Anyway, so what you'll do here is you'll inhale and the heart will move forward and the shoulder blades come together behind you and you look up toward the ceiling and you also press your forearms down, which is particularly difficult for me. Get all of the contact, all of the forearm down, and your hands too and your fingers. And then as you exhale, take the shoulder blades apart, take the chin down toward the chest, press the forearms into the mat, lift your hips up off the ground, and actually the further back you take them, the more work it is for your core. So you could focus on just the mobility part and just lift up to a little plank here, or you could press the hips further back and get a little bit more bang for your buck. So let me get a look at you. Looks great. And then inhaling, come back forward, heart moves through, shoulder blades come together behind you. Yep. And then exhaling, everything rounds and you push back. And inhaling, everything comes forward, heart moves through, shoulder blades draw together behind you, chin lifts up. Exhaling, chin moves down, shoulder blades pull apart, press forearms down, roll your spine back. And when you're over it, go ahead and push yourself back to child's pose again and give your back a break. Back we go. Let your knees be nice and wide so that there's just lots of release through your hips and your thigh bones. So, do you have a yoga block? No. Okay, I'll think about that for another time. Adduction is a really important thing for kind of building your core. So squeezing a block, squeezing something like a book, something harder than that pillow behind you between your thighs will actually help. But we can do it another time. So another way that I like to do plank pose, so there's the forearms like railroad tracks, but you can also bring your palms together in prayer if you want to. So you decide, it's just another way to do it. If you're doing a lot of planking, you might want other options. So just another way to do it. Go ahead and bring yourself forward. And we're gonna turn this into a forearm plank. So I'm gonna go with hands together in prayer. And then send your feet back out into a forearm plank when you can. And then walk those sweet feet back. Okay. And yep, those are really, really good adjustments. Keep going. Take your heart a little bit more forward. Bring your face up and forward. That drops your hips. Did you notice that? Yeah. And then breathe. Inhaling, send that breath into the back body. Exhaling, tilt the pelvis, press forearms into the mat. If you're tired, just go ahead and let it go and push back into your child's pose again. Back into child's pose you go, it's fine. We'll take a few of these. So you'll have plenty of time to work up to it. But for now, just breathe, go through that same breath pattern we've been doing. Inhale, take the breath in and down the back body. Exhaling, draw Tailbone down, tuck the tailbone, and bring the belly button into the spine. Send that breath up and out the front body. Take a few more like this, and then when you're ready to, come back out onto your tummy, and we'll do another plank. And again, it's all up to you. You can do forearms down. It's a slightly different rotation in the shoulders. And, you know, again, I kind of prefer palms together, or just, I prefer to change it from time to time, to be honest. So decide what works for you. Send the feet back out. Come right back through with your breath. And as you inhale, imagine it coming in through the back. Tuck that tailbone, exhale, press forearms, strong through the legs, engage the thighs, power up with the exhale. And when you're over it, just come right out of it. So your body knows you're not going to torture it. You're just asking it to engage. From here, you can just make a little hand pillow if you want, and you can also bend your knees and windshield wiper them on your belly, and it'll do the same thing. All right, so let me do a time check and see how much time we have left. Sorry, Lily Room. Okay, good. So let's do one more of these planks. Just how you've been doing it. No fancy stuff. So when you're ready to press the forearms down, lift your whole sweet self up into the air. And hold it here and imagine yourself breathing, the breath moving in to back, nourishment for the back, the spine. The exhale brings belly and all the muscles with it up in toward the spine. Perfect. Keep breathing, keep going as long as you personally can. Strong through the legs, keep the legs powered up. It'll make it easier, and keep the forearms pressing down. Good job. Press back into child's pose. So let's do a pigeon pose so we can stretch out your hip flexors. You decide. So I'm thinking a pigeon pose because it'll give your hip flexors a stretch, or flip over onto your back and we'll just do a thread the needle, which will accomplish the hip stretch. Is that making sense? If your knees are okay, then let's do the pigeon pose, because then we're just multitasking. So go ahead and come forward and bring the right knee forward. Yeah, and then walk these back toes back. Come down onto your forearms. And we'll just chill here for a few breaths. Yeah, this looks great. Give yourself just several breaths here. Send breath into that right hip. Thank it for the work that it does for you, for all the Zumba classes it carries you through. Just say thanks to that little right hip of yours. Bring your attention over to the left hip flexor. Just take note of that length in the front of the left hip. The length through the whole left side of the body. Just take a few more breaths here. If you want to, you can tuck these back toes under, lift that back knee and walk it a little bit further back so there's a little bit deeper stretch through the left hip flexor. It's also going to deepen the right side, so it might be too much for that hip flexor on that side. You decide. right, from here, go ahead and take this apart. Go ahead and rock it over onto the right hip and swing this left leg around. We'll swing the right leg back. And we'll take the pigeon pose on the second side. So this one might feel awesome on that right hip flexor, or it might feel terrible. I totally don't know. Good, looks like it feels good. All right, so take a couple breaths here. Just relax, let it all go. If you want to tuck those back toes under and lift the back knee and stretch it back, go ahead. Hello. Take like 3 more breaths here. And then go ahead and come back up. Take the weight back over onto this left hip again and swing this right leg back around, and we'll bring the soles of the feet together. Just let the knees go wide. Yep, and you can leave those feet exactly where they are, or you can move them as you fold forward. Gross. Yeah, and let your spine round. Isn't this a fun yoga class? Isn't it great with dogs? Dog that, huh? Go ahead and let your spine round. Just kind of let it go. And you can still stay with this breath that we've been doing, with the breath coming in through the back body. And I like this pose to do that breath because it already is kind of shaped like a wave. So you can inhale and let the breath come in and just follow it into this rounded spine that you've got going. And as that exhale comes, it's really easy to see that planting of the tailbone, and then the belly button can move in toward the spine because you're already kind of round that way anyway. And then go ahead and bring your sweet self up here. And now send these legs out long, and we'll do the exact same thing. Hold yourself forward here. We're moving toward Shavasana, so make sure that when you lie back, you'll be able to lie back on your mat. So just folding yourself forward. Yeah, this looks great. Just let the spine be round. There's not really anything to do. There's sometimes when you do these stretches, that's what yin is about. There's not much structure to it. We were holding the pose for a long time so we can get into the connective tissue and all the other stuff. So you don't really want any structure. You just kind of want to let your bones hang. So that's what we're doing. Because this way it'll stretch out the back muscles, and really get into the places that you need it. Go ahead and draw yourself back up to vertical here. And then what we'll do from here is playing around with that pelvic tilt again and trying to stay out of your hip flexors and trying to land in Shavasana from here. So you're shaped like an L. There's a tilt to your tailbone. Send your arms forward and then see if you can collapse this belly down, but also keeping it strong. So everything we've been working on. And bring yourself down, down, down. And just see how low you can go. There's going to be a certain point where you just have to drop it and let go. But maybe you can lay everything down. Nicely done. Well played. So do this last thing for me. If you have that couch cushion near you still, I want to see if your hip flexors like to be stretched like this or if they hate it. So bend your knees, lift your hips, put that under. Set your booty down on it. And then send your legs out long in the same way that we started, with the toes up toward the ceiling so the legs are a little bit active but not super. And there should be just barely a nice little stretch in the fronts of your hips. Okay, and if you like it, then stay here. And we'll just start to chill this out. So this will be your last pose, and when you're done with it, you can just gently bend your knees and reach down and take this cushion out. But stay here for a moment and just thank these hip flexors. Thank the one that's really just trying to tell you that it needs some support. And just send your mental focus there. Just say thanks, little guy, and I see you. Maybe you can imagine a white light, white heat. And now, instead of putting so much focus on where you're directing your breath, just start to let the breath flow. And then all you have to do is watch it. Watch the breath move in through your nostrils. Watch where it goes into your body. And then just let it fall out of you. And just allow everything to get very heavy. Let it all go. Take a scan of your body. Start at your feet. Just take a scan of your feet, your toes. Maybe you can engage your toes and squish them together like a little sloth trying to grab onto a branch. Maybe you could tap your big toes together and then you could just let your feet flop to either side apart. Looks great. Bring your attention up into your knees, your kneecaps, and see if you can just engage them and then let them go. Engage them and let them go. Notice how when you lift your kneecaps, you're really engaging your quads. Bring your attention up to your hips, and your low back. And then to your belly button. Send your attention up to your solar plexus, the place where your ribs come together. Draw your attention up to your heart, the chest area. If you're good with visualization, you could imagine green, a neon green, super green, fern, lush jungle kind of green. Take your attention up to your throat and your jaw. Take any tension in your jaw out, move your jaw around a little bit. Don't let your tongue poke into the back of your teeth. Release the space between your eyebrows and release the top of your head. Start to let your breath get deeper. Deepening the breath and just sending it everywhere through your body. All your fingers and toes, all the places that work really hard for you, all the places that need extra love. Send some breath and love into your brain, into your head too. And it might make sense to bend your knees first and put the soles of the feet on the ground and maybe windshield wiper them. Maybe hug the knees in toward the chest. Do whatever would feel good to you here. Rock a little bit from side to side. You could rock front to back too, which might be an interesting study for those hip flexors of yours. And then just coming up to a comfortable seat when you're ready. And just bringing your hands to your heart in whatever way suits you this fine Tuesday morning. And just taking one moment here to let your eyes close and let yourself breathe. Send that breath in your back body. Let it come out the front body. And as always, I appreciate you so much, and I love you, and namaste. Stop recording this bad boy.